What's up, guys? Welcome to Forge Master Metal Reviews, the place where you can get the most out of your metal.
What are some of the things that come to mind when you think about the Netherlands? Amsterdam's floating catboats. Yes, that's a fucking thing. Cycling all over the flat countryside, which clearly we don't do. Vincent van Gogh.
But did you know that they have a pretty freaking amazing metal scene? Yes, and today we are going to hit on those bands and albums. Let us know where your favorite Dutch metal bands are down below in the comments.
Hey, if you like metal content like this, hit that like button for us. It really helps out the channel, spread to new fans.
And if you think shirts are cool, we have merchandise, and this is one of them. You should probably buy it if you want.
Oh, and by the way, Pestilence is not on this list. Turns out they're actually not really great to their fans, as exhibited in this post here on the screen. Way to act like a fucking bitter ex-wife to your fan base, dude. Hey, metal bands, here's what you don't fucking do to your fans. But you know what? Let's make a good thing out of it. Go follow Quest for Metal, and Mad Mike also made a hilarious response to this video too. Check both these guys out, link in the description.
Put your clogs on, folks. We are gonna get into the best metal albums from the Netherlands. Detonation's 2002 release in Epic Defiance. It is a record that I've listened to countless times since the mid-2000s. As someone who expects great songwriting with great guitaring, in Epic Defiance delivers heartily on both fronts. These musicians have some serious talent, and it's displayed all throughout this album. Vigorous in its tempo, it is still perfectly paced, with 12 songs clocking in at around 46 minutes.
It's a melodic death gem that not a lot of people know about, unfortunately. And I think a lot of that was because they were shadowed by Dark Tranquillity, In Flames, and all the other bands in the scene that were on their way up. This album should be praised, though, alongside Slaughter of the Soul. It is that fucking good. Plus the drums, dude. Insane.
Yeah, some serious drumming. This record really reminds me of, you say At the Gates, and I would even say, Death era, Symbolic, Sound of Perseverance era, utilizing wicked, highly technical musicianship with fast-paced, relentless songs that just carry you through a tumultuous journey that mimics the difficult aspects of our complicated human condition. An Epic Defiance is one of my favorites of all time. It's a perfect record from front to back from a Dutch metal band that just does not get enough attention.
Thousand silent voices have been screaming in my mind this night again.
Epica Omega. We have a 2021 record on here. Their sound is totally refined. And anyone who listens to Epica, when you hear them, you know it is Epica. It's completely unmistakable. They continuously strive to top themselves with their songwriting, and it shows with their latest album, Omega. The layers of production on this album are completely staggering, wielding intense orchestration and massive choruses with lead siren Simone Simmons, contrasted with the brutal, harsh vocals of Mark Jansen. Other strong albums of theirs that I really enjoyed were the Quantum Enigma and Design Your Universe, but Omega is my favorite.
Man, along with Within Temptation, the Netherlands have had some really outstanding female-fronted metal bands. Epica has really outdone themselves with Omega. I think, forming from the ashes of After Forever, another female-fronted metal band from the Netherlands. I think that they've really consistently released amazing stuff that just haven't had enough solid recognition, and I think Omega's going to put them into the spotlight. Celestial Season's 1995 Solar Lovers is an overlooked classic in the gothic doom death metal subgenre, and I'm happy to tell you why. It's been decades since I've heard the album, so I fired up the 2020 remaster and was quickly reminded as to how unique Solar Lovers really is. There are a lot of unexpected musical turns as the group fluidly navigates between the stoner and melodic doom camps. They can implement this balance very well, and it lends for a really cool listen, and not a lot of other bands were doing it like this.
They're a totally underrated death doom band in the second wave. They belong right alongside My Dying Bride's Turn Loose the Swans release, Anathema's The Silent Enigma, Tiamat's Wild Honey. Just a haunting, very heavy, and very sad release. Perfect for us sad boys.
Super sad. This hidden gem of record should be studied by every upcoming doom and stoner band out there. Yeah, that's right, I threw stoner bands in there too. Only because if you add this record to your list of influences, you are going to be so much more well-rounded than the 3,000 other Sleep and High on Fire and Electric Wizard copycats out there. Solar Lovers isn't a perfect record by any means, but it's a record that completely stands alone.
Sinister, Diabolical Summoning came out in 1993, easily one of the best death metal bands in the early to mid 90s, and not enough people talk about them anymore, and they're still going today. Super underrated record in the early death metal scene, continuing right where Cross the Sticks left off, which is also fucking amazing. Stands right alongside the best albums by Pestilence, but fuck those guys, Creep Mind and Gorefest.
This was my first time being exposed to this, and my mind was completely blown. I love the fucking super gross production. Dude, for 1993, the production on that is absolutely insane.
If you're a fan of old school death metal and looking for a gem, definitely hit Sinister's back catalog and give Diabolical Summoning and Cross the Sticks a listen.
The Gathering is probably one of the most well-known Dutch metal bands out there, and their 1995 record, Mandylion, was an album that took the gothic doom metal scene by storm. Getting this album released on Century Media Records in 1995 is nothing short of monumental, especially for a band as feminine and eclectic as The Gathering. While Mandylion was certainly not the softer atmospheric rock that the band would experiment with later, it also wasn't a crushing record that punished you with growls and double kick sections. Think about who else was coming out of Century Media Records in 1995. There wasn't anyone else doing what The Gathering was doing at this time period, especially not with Anna Kirstenbergen's voice. Overall, The Gathering had a similar trajectory to Anathema. They kind of started out as a traditional gothic doom band, and they started branching out into the more atmospheric sounds. I think it's cool. I think it's a perfect transition.
This is also an amazing introduction to one of the best female voices in metal, period. One of their last metal albums, unfortunately, but their follow-up, If Then Else, that's like one of the most amazing records that they put out. Really chill atmosphere on it. Check it out if you haven't yet.
Mandylion is not my personal favorite, but this album definitely fits in very well with all of our other picks here.
Asphyx, Last One on Earth, released in 1992. Absolutely crushing and completely essential for any Death Doom fan. If you call yourself a Death Doom fan, you need to know this album. Cool concept record about the last human alive in the world, and the ecosystem is totally destroyed and everything is dead. Pretty metal concept if you ask me. This record is death metal at some of its heaviest, a lot more dynamic than their previous efforts, and clearly they spent some time on the pacing on the album. A lot of albums slump somewhere. This one does not. It just keeps up and kills you throughout the whole thing. The whole record's great.
This is a real classic Death Doom, and it really just stands alone. I mean, they're still killing it. Necroceros, a fucking awesome record from this year. I still can't believe these guys are just crushing it right now. It's awesome. Dutch doomsters Morphia had a pretty short-lived career in the metal scene, releasing 3 albums between 99 and 04. My choice today for their highlight album is their swan song, One Last Embrace, a live record released in 2009. I chose this record because it was the only one on Spotify, let's be real here. But it's also a really cool place to start because it's really kind of like a live greatest hits where they chose a bunch of songs from their 3 albums and threw them together. It's kind of a shame that Morphia never continued on for whatever reason, mainly because the players in the band, I think they really had a knack for writing emotionally charged doom metal that was sorrowful, introspective, and blatantly heavy.
You forget that it's live. The mix on it is fucking awesome. Yeah, this was a farewell to fans, but they did this awesome package where it was a CD and a DVD. So when you go back and watch it, yeah, it's all in Dutch. They also have a translation on there. I feel like today in our culture where we have social media, our metal scene would eat that up right now. It's just a really cool timepiece as an art piece in itself.
Something ahead of its time in the way that they actually gave the fans something at the end. Not a lot of bands do that.
Nope. So awesome band. Check them out.
Mm-hmm.
Carach Angren, Where the Corpses Sink Forever, released in 2012, a highly underrated symphonic black metal band, somewhat shadowed by Cradle of Filth's success, at least visually. Their albums follow concepts to near storybook plots, which is a really cool thing for this band, and the production on this album makes it shine. Tons of samples too, like rain falling, gunshots, screaming in the background. It's so theatrical. Your imagination runs wild when you listen to it, and I love that about this album. This is a fantastic record for Halloween too that I honestly kind of forgot about, so I'm glad that I went back to check it out. If you love ghost stories and highly theatrical records, this is a perfect album for the occasion.
Yeah, this is one of the few black metal bands that really gives off like those creepy, I don't really want to hang out with them sort of vibes.
I definitely don't want to hang out with them.
No. It is very highly theatrical and still maintains that very metal attitude. Super cool black metal band. If you haven't heard them, check them out.
An Autumn for Crippled Children, Everything, released in 2011. The closest metal equivalent to the legendary Loveless album, released by Shoegaze Masters, My Bloody Valentine. Their entire discography is fantastic, but something to said about the Everything record I constantly revisit. It's a bit more on the progressive side compared to Lost, which was their debut album, but what I love that they added here is the gritty post-rock guitar shimmer into the progressive elements. The album is bewitching, disturbing, beautiful, and almost torturous in sound.
This band is one of my favorites shoegaze post-black metal bands. Everything that they've done so far has at least been pretty damn good.
I feel like they haven't had their breakthrough moment yet, unfortunately. Their last album was good, but a bit too safe in my opinion. If you guys want to go to the next level, just show some more intensity, give us some blast beats, give us that contrast with that gorgeous black gaze sound. You guys will fly to the top, promise. What other bands from the Netherlands do you love? Let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button for us. Helps the video spread to new fans. And if you're new, hit subscribe.
As always, go with the gods, our forge master brethren. Stay living on the edge. We'll see you next time around.